Good morning. I am back with another flip video for you. I know that I've taken a while to record this video. Please forgive me. I have been under the weather lately. Nevertheless, we have our video and we are going to hop right into our lesson. So, our performance-based objective today is students will be able to identify key ideas in order to determine the theme or central idea of the text. Now, this is a reading literature standard for Tennessee. And I know that we are used to seeing themes only in literature. However, literature can have both a theme and a central idea. The reason for that is because a theme is the moral or the lesson that we should learn within the text, and the central idea is what is the key idea or the main idea that this piece is talking about, okay? Your second performance-based objective is to determine the theme or central idea of a text in order to analyze its developments over the course of the text, including how it emerges, is shaped, and is refined by specific details. Yes, this sounds pretty much like my previous video, and it is. The first video talked about finding the central idea. In this video, we're going to focus more on theme, okay? So you guys remember, anytime you see the eyes, you must answer these questions or do the task that is next to the eyes, as well as write down all of your definitions. And I will be doing a notebook check this Friday. So make sure that you write the objective at the top margin of your paper, and then you write your definitions. That includes the term and the definition. And also, you answer any questions or any task that I say, hey, you need to do this. All right, let's move forward, sweethearts. And let's look at a few definitions. So we know the theme is the overarching message. When we're talking about overarching, think about McDonald's, the golden arches, right? And so we're talking about what is the message just over the whole text. It goes throughout the whole text. It could be an abstract idea, a universal truth. When we're talking about universal, we mean something that can apply to the entire universe, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of gender, regardless of all beliefs. It is a concept that can apply to any and everyone. For example, do unto others as you will have them do unto you. That is the golden rule. In other words, treat people the way you want to be treated. That can apply to anyone because none of us want someone to kill, steal, slap, or mistreat us in any type of way, right? Of course not. So that is a universal truth. That's an example of a universal truth and a theme that can be applied throughout the entire universe. Key ideas or key details, we know that we're looking at important words and phrases. We're talking about emerge, we're talking about develop. It's coming into existence. Essential is absolutely necessary. We need this. All right, so take a minute and pause the video, and I want you to use what you can remember about these stories to tell me the lessons that the characters learned. And then we're going to come right back and we're going to talk about it. All right? All right. Go ahead and pause now. All right. Thank you so much for attempting to uh, figure out what did these characters learn. Okay, now let's look at Goldilocks. In case you guys don't remember, Goldilocks was a little girl that was just walking through the forest, and she just happened to stumble upon this house, and the door was unlocked, and she let herself in, and she went into the house, and she was like, hey, I see this food here. Let me eat this food. Wait a minute. This porridge is too hot. This porridge is too cold. This porridge is just right. So she ate it all up. She did the same thing with the chairs. She did the same thing with the bed. And then so the Bear family returned home only to find Goldilocks fast asleep in Little Bear's bed. Now, what lessons could Goldilocks learn? I've heard some people in class say that, well, um, she learned that she had to find things that was a good fit for her. Okay, that is a universal truth. Do you have evidence there to support that? Yes, you do. She kept trying things until she found out what works best for her. Now, someone else said, um, Goldilocks learned that she needs to not intrude upon other people's things. You are correct. Goldilocks had no business going into these people's house, eating their food, breaking their items, sleeping in their beds. She did not. And the same thing with the wolf. What did the wolf learn? So, in order to determine what the wolf learned, we had to look at the conflict, right? Same things with Goldilocks. So, what is the concept that we need to remember? To determine the thing, we use the details in the text, including word choice and the text structure. Remember, word choice is diction. It is the words that the author specifically uses in the text. Now, let's talk about theme for a minute. Yes, you need to write this down. Yes, you need to write this down. Yes, you need to write this down. So, theme is a lesson about life, which is found in literature. You guys know that Miss Bunn loves English. She loves teaching English because English applies to every area of life. Besides the speaking, the listening, the reading, and the writing aspect, if we learn how to analyze a character, we know how to analyze real humans. Okay? All righty. And this is how we find uh, um, lessons that we should learn. It is not directly stated, it is referred. Yes, the theme is inferred, inferred, inferred. We have to figure it out. We're making an inference. We're drawing a logical assumption using what is there in the text. A theme is oftentimes revealed through a complex character's respond and reaction to conflict. Make sure you circle complex character. Make sure you circle response or reactions, and then put a box around the word conflict. All righty, so take a minute and let's pause and let's read over this example here, okay, sweethearts? And then we'll be right back to discuss it. So take a minute, pause, read, and you try to answer the questions. Alrighty, so let's take a minute and read this. In his sophomore year of high school, Michael Jordan tried out for the varsity basketball team at Langley High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. But at 5 feet and 11 inches tall, the coach believed that Jordan was too short to play at that level. So Jordan was cut from the team. Jordan didn't let this obstacle defeat him. In fact, it pushed him to work even harder. He trained vigorously and grew another 4 inches the following summer. When he finally made the varsity squad, Jordan averaged 25 points a game and went on to become one of the greatest basketball players in history. Here's my question. What was Jordan's struggles? What were the things that opposed him? Okay, I can hear some of you all saying that he was too short. Uh, Someone said that the coach didn't believe in him and cut him from the team. Okay, and so what did he do to overcome these obstacles? Okay, what lessons did he learn from those obstacles? So, this is how we basically find our thing. So when challenges and obstacles come, don't give up. Jordan could have gave up, right? And you will become the victor. Victor is one of your vocabulary words, so you should know what that means. Now we have our lesson. When challenges come, don't give up. Try again. Now, what was the central idea of this text? What was this text talking about? Who or what this text was talking about? This text was, yes, talking about Michael Jordan. But what did it say about Michael Jordan? Through hard work and determination, Jordan became one of the greatest basketball players in history. Yes, so you see how we have a theme and a central idea? All righty. So here's what we need to always think about. What did the character do, think, or say? What did Michael Jordan do? What did he think? What did he say? We can see that with his actions. What he did was he said, you know what, I'm going to train vigorously. That means I'm going to go, as you guys may say, go hard or go home. Okay? That's exactly what he did because he wanted to be the best. And if you watched any of his videos or heard his interviews, you know that that is how he trained when he was in the NBA as well. So now you guys have an idea of how to find the theme. You know what a theme is. It's a lesson learned in a story. You know that we use the conflicts of the characters and we look at their reaction and how they respond to it. Well, let's take this same concept and let's apply this to literature. Literature uh, or short stories or stories, you know, let's say non-fictional pieces. Non-fictional pieces have something that we call a plot. Now, plot is simply the events in the text, the events in the text. And a lot of times plots are structured differently. You may have chronological order. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in this presentation. But a plot is the events in the text. Yes, you got to write this down. It is what happens in the text, and mostly what happens to the characters in the text. It is the what happened, like I said, to the characters and how they react. So again, we're looking at that character, their response, and their reactions. It is what happens as a result of the character's reactions. It is what we use to find the theme. Why? Let's go back and let's look at our theme definition. Oftentimes, we can learn a lesson from how the character overcomes or what the character endures as a result of their conflicts, whether it's internal or external. And you will see that definition on the right side of um, uh, another slide. So here's an example of a plot diagram. We have exposition, inciting actions, rising actions, I'm sorry, falling actions, and resolution. Now here's something you should know as a high school student. Not every text will have a resolution, okay? Some things are just left as is. You will see that as movies too. Have you ever watched a movie? You're like, wait a minute, how did it end? How did it end? The movie just cut off. Well, that does not have a resolution, okay? All right, so let's look at this example of the plot diagram here, okay? All right, so in our exposition, we're introduced to our characters in the beginning of the conflict. Excuse me, I needed to grab a little bit of water. So after several accurate horoscopes, we know that Nikki is a protagonist. She is a main character in the text. She's a main character in a text. And what is going on with Nikki? She's excited when she read her horoscope. And it basically told her, girl, today is going to be a day full of wonderful opportunities. Well, what's the expectation that Nikki has? Nikki has that everything is going to be great, right? Because of this horoscope. Now, we have something that's new. It's called an inciting action. And this is an event that causes the protagonist to set a goal and leads to all the future events in the plot. So her horoscope said that she was going to have a great day. The inciting action, it says, contrary to the horoscope, Nikki is so far having the worst day of her life. The worst day. So this is the inciting action. So then let's go up. So what are some other events? So when we're looking at the events, we're looking at events that um, we see the character's response, whether it's internally or externally. We're looking at these key events that basically is a cause and effect. Because she thought that she was going to have a great day, she had set up in her mind that, hey, because the horoscope told her, you're going to have a great day. That is um, basically her motivation, right? But then what we see that she gets her sweater stuck in the locker, right? Uh, which is not good, So the sweater, it unravels, and now she needs her friend to bring her a jacket. Well, that's contrary to what her horoscope said. So then she crashes into the door in front of her boo or her crush, and then she suffers a concussion. So now she's also embarrassed. So then she's so mad at herself, right? Internal conflict. She believes that this horoscope was a fake because all of these negative things happened to her, right? So then what's the resolution? Her crush calls her. Whoa. And he calls her just to check on her. And guess what? Now Nikki is having second thoughts like, wait a minute. Maybe this horoscope was onto something. Maybe I had to endure all of these um, hardships so that I can experience what I want to experience, right? So yeah, that could be our theme. So we look at all these events and now we got a theme, you know. Oftentimes in life we have to experience hardship so that we can enjoy the beauty. Boom. Theme, lesson learned. How do we learn it? From all of her experiences, from what happened to Nikki in the story and how Nikki responded. Okay? All righty. If you have any questions, make sure you write your questions down for me and we can address those in class. All right? All right, let's move on. So we talked about plot. We talked about what is a thing. Now let's talk about the structure. So the structure refers to how the story is shaped. Remember we talked about how the theme is developed. Well, we're going to look at the structure. The structure helps us to understand how it is developed. Think about uh, your house. Your house had to have a structure. Okay, your body, your skeleton system is your structure. It holds up our um, our bodies. Okay? So this means when we're talking about structure, this means the order of the plot events in the story. Here's why, because everything connects. Everything connects. We're looking at connections and relationships within the story. And you will watch another video that I've already posted from last year that talks about connections and relationships in the story. And these connections and these relationships help the stories to progress, right? They help us to understand how the story is being told. And that's what we're looking for when we're talking about structure. How is this story being told? Now, when do we have these pivotal moments that happen in plot? Think about chronological order. Think about when we have these flashbacks. Think about when we have um, a dual narrative. Yes, 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 you do have to write these down. When we're talking about the story arc, you're just thinking about what we just saw, the regular plot diagram, when we have exposition, rise in action, climax, falling actions, and resolutions. When we're looking at flashbacks, we're looking at the main narrative and how it takes place in one time, but there are episodes from the past. And oftentimes the reason for flashbacks is that we learn about a character, we learn about why they are the way that they are, or how they became to be the way that they are. Okay. Um, Here's my question for you. How does understanding, or how does the word framework help us to understand how stories are shaped? If you were listening to me earlier when I used the word framework, that would give you an idea, okay? All righty. So, and I basically elaborated on this screen. Um, I'm sorry, this particular slide. When I talked to you, that when I told you that the framework is how it holds up the story. It holds up the story. So we use frameworks to convey the plot. Um, and a lot of times with literature, it's not always going to be in chronological order. First this happened, second this happened. Again, that's why you have to look at the events. You have to look at the events that happen to your complex character. There are times where you could have multiple complex characters in a text. Like when we're reading Romeo and Juliet, you will see that Romeo and Juliet both have their own separate struggles within one text. Okay. Um, let's see. Okay, let's move on with that. Now here we're going to do a little bit of practice, and this is something that you need to make sure that you understand. Okay. So remember, we always read and we annotate. We always read and we annotate. Annotation helps us to understand what we're reading because we're defining words we do not know. We're looking at how the author used dictions, imagery. We're looking at the details. We're looking at the language and syntax. Syntax is sentence structure. Again, you see that we're talking about structure. Why? Because a lot of times that gives us clues as to what we should be paying attention to. We'll talk about that a little bit more in class together. So, read and annotate the text. Now, when we're reading and annotating to find a thing, we're going to focus on the plot events. The reason why I put events behind plot is so that you'll know that we're looking at the events that push the story forward, the conflicts, how the character responds to, excuse me, to the text. Okay, I'm sorry, to the conflict, their reactions to the conflict. And then from there, we're going to determine the lesson or lessons that the character learned from these conflicts. Then we're going to change that lesson, that learned lesson of the character, into a universal lesson. So you're going to pause right here. You're going to go ahead and you're going to read and you're going to uh, make your annotations in your mind. And then we're going to come back and we're going to answer these two questions. Yes, you do need to know these definitions that are on the side, okay? Now remember, in order to figure out the moral of I need to fix that. Oops, grammatical error. The story is by using the key events of the plot. Yes, I know you guys like Miss Bond. How did you do that? That's what Miss Bond get for trying to stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning and do these videos in the dark. But anyway, go ahead, pause the video, and we'll be back. All right, sweetheart. So you had an opportunity to pause and you read the story of Mr. Pig and Mr. Dog, right? So I'm asking you to read the sentence from the paragraph above. Mr. Pig declined, even though it hurts his stomach to eat the last 3 slices of pizza. How does this sentence affect the theme of the passage? Well, what did we see? What was the conflict? Mr. Dog wanted a piece of pizza. Mr. Pig was like, mm-mm, I ain't giving it to you. And so he ate it all, despite how he felt, despite the fact he was being sick. So we can say that he was kind of being greedy, right? So what was the theme though? So greed, what we saw, is because of Mr. Pig's uh, um, voracious appetite, he was unable to outrun the hunter. It slowed him down. Mr. Dog escaped easily. And so the pig became someone's prey. He was he was unable to outrun um, the hunter. And had he not been greedy, he may have outran the the hunter, right? So, what is the lesson that we learn? Well, he was greedy. So let's look at what we learned about greed. Greed led to Mr. Pig's destruction. So greed may lead to self-destruction. Or, you know what? What else could Mr. Pig have done? He could have shared, right? So it is better to share than to be selfish and greedy. These are lessons that we've learned. And then this particular sentence shows us Mr. Pig's, um, I guess, true nature. It showed us how we got to this. How we were able to determine that he was being greedy. So we looked at greedy and we said, what lesson did we learn from Mr. Pig's being greedy? And boom, that's how we have a theme. Let's try another one. Go ahead and pause the video and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it, okay? All righty. Okay, so we read about Money Mark, right? And we know that Money Mark, he was born rich. However, he was what? He was unhappy. He was unhappy. So, what is the theme that we learn? Money does not buy happiness. Not at all. Now, which details from the text support this? Now, this is me. I'm summarizing the details, but you could go in and you can pull out examples from the text. I just summarized. We know that he was rich, but he was miserable. How do we know? What does the text tell us? Hmm? What does the text tell us? Very, 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 very good. Very good. So, um, what about Penny? She was what? She was poor, but she was also happy. I'm sorry, I cut the other one off, but um, excuse me. She was poor and what? She was happy. It's called Penny Petal. Was born poor. Her family hardly had anything to eat, but they what? They loved each other. So what did Mark feel? Mark didn't feel like he was loved, right? Right. His father paid for everything for him, but he really didn't spend as much time with him, right? And that also could be another theme. We could look at the other struggle that he had. You know, he wanted love. Love is what? Love should do what? You know, those are things that we could excuse me, hold on you guys. Sorry about that, sweethearts. So again, like we're looking at how Penny's family, they loved her. So what does love do? You know, if you love someone, then you would, spend time with them, right? All right. All right. I'm sorry, sweethearts. I'm not sure where it stopped recording, so I'm gonna go back and I'm going to say this again. I think my screen has moved. Okay, there we go. So I think I stopped when I said that love is another um, topic that we a conflict. Mark didn't feel loved. So what had he felt loved, what would that have done for him? And answering that question will help us to have another theme, right? All right, so let's talk about why we are discussing the thing. One, if we master this standard and skill, it would always help you in your upcoming assessments. And assessments are not necessarily tied to your test that you will have. It's also me looking at how you guys explain your evidence, how you guys do the graphic organizer. Another most important reason, and I love the real world reasons above the educational part. Understanding things will help us to recognize that all humans share a common experience. Again, thinking about those universal lessons that we learn, it applies to all of us, again, regardless of your race, your gender, your belief. We're united in the fact that we are humans and we experience the same things. The same things. We all want to be loved. We all want to have family. We all want to be supported. So, reading the text, understanding the themes helps us to understand that, hey, I'm no different from my fellow man. So, and let's look at the sample question, Sam. Excuse me, sweetheart. So, this is an example of what you will see on your upcoming assessment. A few examples. It may not be worded exactly like this, but anytime you have a part A and part B, I'm going to be asking you to support what you said from details from the text. And we know that we're always, always, always looking for the major details, okay? All right. Does anyone else have another reason why understanding the theme is relevant to us? If you do, let me know. All right. So, in closing, what did we learn? We learned that the theme is a lesson about life, which is found in literature. We learned that the theme oftentimes is revealed through complex characters, response, and reactions to conflict. Um, And conflict was defined for you on one of the slides. So if you have to go back, it'll tell you what a conflict is, and then it tells you what the internal and external conflict is. Plot is the event in the text, and it is what happens to the character and how they react. When we're looking at structure, we're looking at how the text is shaped as a whole. This could be the order of the plot events in the text, novel, or play. We're also looking at how, it is also how the story is being told. So plot is dealing with the character and the events that they create. What happens to the character, how they interact. The plot, the structure is how is this story being told, right? How does these events happen, you know? All right, easy peasy. I know it is. Let's talk about how I'm going to grade you. How I'm going to grade you after you guys answer this particular question. What new concepts did you learn today? Now, oops. I know you guys like Miss Bunny, you're all over the place. I did forget I put this in here for you. So pause it. You guys know what you gotta do. Pause, read, answer, have it for me for class. Pause, read, answer, have it for me for class. Same thing here. Pause, read, answer, have it for me when we come to class. Now, let's talk about how you're getting graded. Remember, I told you that I am flipping to a standard based um, grading system. And so, in order for you to demonstrate mastery to earn a 4 or a 100, what do you have to do? You have to demonstrate the ability to provide a complete objective summary. We're going to do one in class today together, and then you're going to do one on your own. Okay? And I'm also going to post videos to help you in Canvas to show you this is how you write the objective summary using our template. Okay? So, do you have the ability? Can you demonstrate the ability to identify multiple central ideas and themes in the text and how they are developed in the text? You're looking at the you're looking at how the events support each other. So you're gonna pick out the key events, right? Right? Okay. Your goal is always 100. Always. So I want you to take time to read this and you will see what's your action as the student. Are you able to do this? Yes, you can. Alone? Yes, you can. Do you need a little bit of help? You may need a little bit of help. But eventually, we're going to get you to the point where you're able to do this on your own, okay? All right, sweethearts, you guys have a good day. See you in class.